So please, get something to eat, enjoy yourself. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So, thank you for coming to our super neighborhood meeting. I see some new faces, and I just want to say, welcome. If this is your first time, hopefully you find this meeting so informative and helpful that you come down. My name is Lindsay Williams. I'm the president of the super neighborhood. We have several of our board members kind of hanging around here doing various things. We've got Lisa Hunt that's in the back. We've got Amy Erickson hanging out with the food. We've got Amy Dent up front. Robert Gallegos up there running around the church. We have Naomi online. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So with our meeting, this is your first time coming to one of our meetings. One of the things that we practice is meeting agreements, right? So we all assume positive intent when we're working with each other. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. So we want to work with each other without blaming others. Speaking with respect, refrain from profanity, use people's names and pronouns, be sensitive to different communication styles. Be critical of the problem and not the person. We want to create solutions, not enemies. It's okay to disagree. Remember, we all coming from the love of our neighborhood, right? Ponder what you hear and feel before you speak. Trust ambiguity. We're not here to debate who is right and wrong. Be mindful of time. So I don't think anything on our subject today is going to cause this, but we like to practice this on the good days, on the green days, so that whenever we have a day when things could be a little bit hairy, we're all set to go. So anything else we should add on moving forward? And I'm sorry, y'all know I'm short. I gotta peek around the corner once in a while. All right. So we do have some elected officials that are here. I see District I. I don't know if you have any announcements, but and I've got the giveaways in our updates as well. Yeah, I've got that. We have Jesse from the Department of Neighborhoods. Just need to have to speak with him. And then we've got Marina here for Christina Morales' office. If you have any questions, you can reach out to her. But we might have a special guest. I want to see if she can we'll handle that when it comes in. We also have Naira, County Attorney's Office. I don't know if you want to come up and say hello. Yeah, I know you have resources. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Naira Crawford.
Okay.
I'm an outreach intern with the County Attorney's Office of Abby Camus. We just wanted to let y'all know who we were. A lot of people get us confused with the District Attorney's Office, but they're a criminal law firm or law office, and we're civil. So we deal with issues like consumer fraud, protecting neighborhoods and the environment, and fighting for the rights of vulnerable communities. So if you're having issues with scammers, deceptive businesses, or a big plant near your home causing health or environmental risks, we're who you're going to call. So in the brochure is going around is some resources in there. And we also have an event coming up called Families with Pride. It's completely free. It's evergreen, and we'd like to see y'all there with your family. We also have a sign up list. It's like for updates on what's going on in the County Attorney's Office. So if you want to sign up for that, I have that for you to write your information down.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Alex, please go rapid. You want to come along real quick? Yep.
Howdy.
Hey.
All right, maybe a couple Aggies. My name is Alexander Govea from the Harris County Clerk's Office, Elections Outreach Department. I just want to advertise that next month will be the next community meeting will be focused. It's a whole voter thing. So we're going to be talking about this upcoming election in November, getting everybody prepared and ready. I'm also going to be bringing out sample ballots so everybody can have sample ballots. I'm also going to be bringing out the machines. So if you're ever curious about the machines, accessibility features, or always wanted to ask questions, but you're not able to because you're in a vote center, that's what it's all going to be focused around, among other things, and community updates as well. I did want to advertise for anybody who's interested in serving the community and giving back. We do have opportunities to serve on election night, Tuesday, November 3rd. This is not your traditional election worker position. This is going to be a position where you're helping us to receive all of the materials from the actual vote center. So once the polls close, the judges have wrapped up, they need to get everything down to our regional collection sites. And that's your opportunity to serve and help us receive those and make sure we maintain the chain of custody for them. It is a paid opportunity. We do pay for the training as well. We do pay for or we do provide dinner as well on that night. And we do have that opportunity for any of our adult community members or any high schoolers in the area as well. So great opportunity for them to get civically involved, get paid, and they can also get letters of recommendation for college. So it's a great opportunity. If anybody here in this room is interested, or if any of your family members are interested, highly admonish you. Go ahead and scan the QR code and register it immediately. Just because it is a first come, first served opportunity, and a lot of people are very interested. And we usually have to close off those applications within the next 2 weeks. So great opportunity to serve. If you're interested, I have flyers in the back, and just want to introduce myself. A pleasure, and thank you.
All right, perfect. So just wanted to say hello to Metro Police. I don't know if you want to say anything, or if you just want to say hello. Gotta hold it right up to it.
Good.
Hey.
Sorry, Brett, the department. We started the Harrisburg substation, and we have given also here. Usually like to come every month to share our stats, but I forgot my notepad. So I just want to share with you guys that we're back to normal deployment plan. We can change our deployment during FIFA just to accommodate special events. But we're back to normal deployment. You should see my guys going up and down the green line and the purple line. We are aware of the increasing homeless population in their system. We're on top of it. My guys are very proactive, and we're going to keep it down. Also, major crimes are also down in our system. Major crimes meaning robberies to any aggravated assaults or anything like that. Of course, if you guys see something, please give us a call. Like I said, we like to have a proactive approach to crime, and that's the best way to tackle the problem. So please give us a call. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
We got precinct 6. Want to come say hello real quick?
Hello, I'm Sergeant Reed from Precinct 6. I'm filling in for Chief Tran because we're out on Harrisburg. As many of you probably saw when we came in. We're doing an initiative on Harrisburg, trying to help out with a lot of crime on Harrisburg. When I looked at the stats for July last month, the discharge of firearms and the fireworks obviously was kind of high because of 4th of July. Next major thing that we noticed was we're getting a lot of calls for suspicious persons, which is good. If you see something, you don't know what it is, or you have any concerns, by all means, call us. That's what we're here for. If you all have any concerns for Precinct 6 that we can do as far as patrol requests or any areas of concerns that I need to be aware of, by all means, please let me know. Surely we're not doing that good, are we? Yes, ma'am.
What is the policy of the constable's office when it comes to cooperating with ICE?
I'm going to refer you to our internal affairs, which is Lieutenant Maldonado. But I will tell you that if I do a traffic stop and the person has a warrant, by law, I have to detain that person, and I do have to call ICE. That's the law. If I don't do that, I go to jail because the warrant is signed by a judge.
Are you saying civil warrants as well as criminal
Warrants,
warrants?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
is that because of the 280? Is it 280G?
I'm not sure about the 280G, but I do know every peace officer in the state of Texas, they don't have a choice. You have to, because on the warrant it says you shall. That means I don't have a choice. So when police officers don't do that, the police officers jeopardizing their livelihood. I don't want to go to jail for a warrant for someone else. So I have to. That's I don't have a choice.
But administrative warrants are not right?
We had one a couple of weeks ago. It's say a warrant is a warrant. We had to call ICE. It tells us you shall call ICE. I don't know what warrants you guys see, but I can tell you the one that I saw a couple of weeks ago. That's what it said. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yes, sir. I just want to say hi to Miss Pat. That's my mother-in-law right there. Any other questions? Thank you.
Perfect. So, yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for my company to be here. Any offices that I did not catch? Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, you've been sitting here. Yes. Twilight Harder. Sorry.
Really quickly, Clay working with Councilmember Twyla Carter's office, that large position 3. She does remain committed to her public safety priorities. Right now, we're focusing a lot on 419 emancipation and the city's response to homelessness. But she's also committed to her domestic violence and human trafficking awareness. This next month and in October, she will be doing a fall tour, visiting 13 stops, different tours, management districts, super neighborhoods. So if you'd like to come out and talk to her about any of the issues that you might have on your mind, I've got a flyer up front here for all the locations where we're going to be. If you have any questions for the at-large 3 office, I'll be here through the meeting. Happy to connect with the council member afterwards. Thanks so much. Yes.
I have a question on 419 emancipation.
Answer it best I can.
Well, so we've been told by the constable that it's full. Like there's no room at
That
the
is
end for people to come there. And that was the idea that they would be open. But I was told by someone with a follow-up conversation that it was full like the day it opened. So did they just bus a lot of people in from other places in
I
Houston?
don't know for sure how they got everybody there. I do know that it was more in the immediate area first. And just because it's full doesn't mean that it's the same full people. Some people have needs that might be a week, some might need a month, some might need a day. So I know they've had reached capacity once and also another time. So they've already helped about 430 people, you know that. So it's kind of a rotating compass that kind of directs people to the different nonprofits that the Harris Center's working with.
But I also understood that there's no timeline. They can't force them to leave once they're admitted. So are we at some point, if people aren't required to leave, are we actually operating something that's more like permanent stuff? And then that has actual requirements that the state imposes for permanent places.
For that question, I would need to refer to Councilman, but what I
Okay.
would say is that I do know that some of the partners that they work with are for longer term. So I don't think that it's initiated to be a long-term solution, more of a compass to find out where they need to go. But I will report that to the council member also, and I know we know you too, so I'll make sure to get your answer.
Okay, it would just be interesting because it doesn't seem like we could just set up a temporary facility and to evade state regulation, right?
Absolutely, yes.
We wanna make
I get
sure-
Good ideas for
yeah.
council. Want you to talk about 419 emancipation.
Thank you for answering the questions.
I can't think.
Okay.
Has the council member retracted her letter of support?
I can't speak on behalf of the council member, but I'll be happy to relay the message to her and I'll connect you directly with her. Ask her directly. She would love to just contact me one-on-one. If that's-
No, she would, but
She would.
I'll
I
wait.
should go. I do it every day. But she'd be happy to come.
What were you guys talking about?
Yeah, they're a little bit further east. I don't know if they, y'all, the 419 emancipation location.
We still the neighborhood 65.
Okay, well, we can.
I was just wondering what you were talking about.
She asked a question about 419 Emancipation Center, which is a new facility downtown on Emancipation. And it's basically a facility that will house and process individuals who are homeless. So they'll take the people in, depending on basically the condition that they're in, they might be needing mental assistance, they might need drug addiction recovery. They may just need a bus to get back home. So really, it's just started out months ago. So we're still kind of getting information and data on it, but it holds about 220 people. They've processed that much through it and have filled it up twice. The hope is just filter people through it, and they're partnering with the Harris Center as their operator. And so they're working with different nonprofits to identify the needs of them.
That's the place across from the Emancipation.
It is on Emancipation.
It's not across from Emancipation Park. It's like right there at Harrisburg and Emancipation. So
Okay.
there's the barbecue.
All right, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And of course, I'll be here for the meeting too. And so any specific questions, happy to really get down one.
Got one more.
I just want to make a comment. My understanding, remembrance that the emancipation was one of the possibly several. One, have you heard anything about any others?
I don't have specifics, but I do know that they are working on that, just kind of the prototype to see and moving forward, having different options across different areas of the city. But I don't have any specifics on that for sure, but I'll be happy to get you some answers.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, much needed for sure.
It seems to be working.
Yeah. That's what my opinion is. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate you being here and I hope that you can relate to the council member our concern about HPD's failure to show up at the public safety meeting. And you need to know what the policy of HPD is regarding cooperation with ICE.
I'll relay that. Absolutely. Thank you all so much.
We do have Ms. Gloria Centeno. She's gonna come up and say hello really quickly, with the new code proposing. Just go through intro on that and.
Thank you, and thank you to the Super Neighborhood for giving us an opportunity. I see a few familiar faces, but some new ones. If you don't know me, my name is Gloria Centeno. I'm actually a native East Ender. I love this community and love to be a part of it. I am representing New Hope Housing tonight. If you don't know about New Hope Housing, they've been around 30 plus years. Affordable housing. They're started out with single room occupancy, efficiency apartments. They have 15 properties across the city, but primarily there's more in the East End. Single room occupancy, but now they're expanding their portfolio into multifamily and also senior housing. And so we're here specifically to talk about the newest property, Avenue C. It's senior housing, but it's 55 plus. Active community, and it's really beautiful, and Alicia will share more about that.
Good evening. So Avenue C did open up in March. It is our newest facility, and we do have availability at the current moment. We have 76 apartments left. We invite everybody to come take a tour. We're right Harrisburg at 75th. We have, like I said, 76 apartments. They all come with washer dryer connections. We have a garden for our 55 and up seniors, and we have a free laundry facility on the 3rd floor for all our residents, a theater room, and a dining room. So I invite everybody to come and see us.
Any questions?
I'm gonna say something. I took my son over there to go, right before you guys open up, and he's on disability, and he's 61 years old, and he gets $1,600 a month. And the lady said he had to make $1,800 a month in order to move there. Is it still there?
So our criteria, it is 2 times a monthly rent. We do have where we count any supplemental income. So if he has any other income besides that, we do count it, but it is 2 times a monthly rent to qualify.
So he has to make, it's still $1,800.
It's $1,800 a month to qualify, but again, we do go over the supplemental. So if there's any other income that he has coming in besides that, we can definitely assist in whether it's help from a family member or any other, anything on the side that, he might be doing, then we can count that as income.
Or possibility other agencies.
Correct. Well, I mean, we also work with Harris County, so we do take the vouchers from Harris and City of Houston. So. Yes, ma'am.
We know several schools in our neighborhood are closing, and are there any discussions with New Hope about developing any of those properties into affordable housing units?
Not to my knowledge now, but they are partnering strongly with the Bezos Academy pre-K. They have a Bezos Academy at the property, the Gray, and also Berry and Northside. So they are entertaining more of that, maybe incorporating Bezos Academy into their properties. But as far as those particular properties, I'm not sure yet. But they're always looking for property. They're definitely exploring more areas. They're developing one in Acres Homes, but they love the East End, but it has gotten quite expensive. But we'll keep looking. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
right, thank you so much for being here. And before we move on to our main discussion, I just wanted to say, there's two inactive super neighborhoods that are here, just listening and being guests, and we just want to make sure we're very welcome. We have our Denver Harbor here, Gloria is actually helping with the greater hobby area. So, just making sure they're good neighbors and we don't care about boundaries when it comes to learning and just being neighborly. So the main thing we're gonna be talking about today is, unfortunately, I get to hear a lot from me, is understanding the trends in the East End. We do this presentation maybe once a year-ish, so because it's important to understand how we got started on this, why the train stopped, what about quiet zones, and all of these things. So we're gonna get right to it. Trust me, I talk really, really fast, and some of these are only like one slide. So we're gonna get through all of this information, how we got started, the numbers, why they stopped, the rules with Federal Railroad Administration, quiet zones, right-of-way project plans, the merger that's coming up, and what residents can do. So it's always important that I stress this, that like everybody in this room has a train story. We're not here to complain. We're here to just talk about like what's going on, the facts, and like kind of understand like how to move forward from this. So, and also something to just keep in mind, working with the trains and finding solutions is a long haul project. It is a slog and we're gonna be at it for a while. So hang on, let's do this. So how did this all get going? I basically moved into the neighborhood knowing there was a train problem. And I said, I'm gonna fix it. So I crashed at Eastman Civic Association board meeting and I said, I want to fix this. I want a trains committee. And they were like, okay, whatever. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I got started, and we had a few people join us immediately. So Danielle did move out of the country, so she's no longer here. But we had Danielle, Paulette, Kyle immediately raised their hands if they wanted to help. Clay Dipple joined, Daniel joined, Nathan Boyd came in next, and then Amy Erickson was the last, but certainly not least, to join our committee. So what we started doing is we realized, like in the beginning, we were telling Union Pacific, hey, the trains are stopping, and Union Pacific was like, right? It's not as bad as you're saying it. And so finally, one of our residents named Paulette, she's a retired kindergarten teacher, and she said, we are going to put a camera on the crossing and we're going to start counting trains. We have been counting trains since November 2021. And every week she sends me her notebook and it is all of the trains. She's counted them, the start and stop times of every single one. So now we have irrefutable proof of what is happening. And so with that, we went to Robert Gallegos, who was our council member at the time, and we said, Councilmember Gallegos, we have information that might help you. And he says, oh my gosh. And then we took it to Sylvia Garcia, and the kind of rest was history there, right? So this is just some of the things that we've been able to accomplish. I'm not going to read everything to y'all, okay, because this is just a lot. But one of the cool things is that we were able to do is provide resident stories and feedback that helped get the funding gap to close the West Hall Improvement Project through the bipartisan infrastructure law. We got 2 federal railroad inspectors reassigned to our area full time. We helped educate a lot of our council members when they were coming in. We attended because we've gotten so good at this, we are invited to lots of conferences that are not really readily available to just regular folk, right? So we get to go to Federal Railroad Administration conferences, road and rail safety conferences. We get to do a lot of these cool things. We've gotten several different like grants awarded in the last couple of years. And it's kind of cool because with the upcoming proposed merger with Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern, I've got cities across the United States asking me for feedback, which is pretty cool because like that's just how into this we are. We were known in the Biden administration as like the resource about transit in the East End. So I thought that's a kind of cool thing to be able to tout. And Councilmember Martinez at the time said that recently he said District I could not get any movement on trains until our committee was formed and collect this data. Because like I said, Councilmember Gallegos knew there was a problem, but it wasn't until we had the data that he could come up and say, yes, this is a problem. Right, and we had the camera data, we had video camera, like you couldn't doubt that. And at the time, Sally Alcorn, Councilmember Sally Alcorn said our committee was well-researched, solutions-driven, thoroughly prepared, and she thoroughly enjoyed working with us. So, what do the numbers say? So we talked a little bit about how Paulette got this information. So we started counting trains. So in that time, you can actually see the number of trains that we've been able to gather. So in 2022, the average time blocked in the month was 62.5 minutes. It's a long time for just an average stop. It has come down to about 30 minutes, but we also seen an increase in trains. So it's just been interesting. So you can see that roughly 30% of the month is blocked on that specific line only. Now we have many, many lines. We're only counting one right now because it's a lot of work. Poor Paulette, I'm not going to make her. But you can see that we have a number of trains that come in. The number of trains is rising specifically. It has risen 5 trains per day on average since 2022, and we're expected to see even more. So kind of fun, as y'all know, I love to build maps in AI. I actually downloaded all the Federal Railroad Administration data, and I created a heat map of all the block crossings in the United States, and you will see no surprise that the East End is the worst in the United States for freight rail congestion. Our 16 square miles has 40% of the region's freight, and we have all of the top 20 block crossings in the United States are here in the East End. This has been the case for the last 4 years. So this is why little Lindsay gets real wound up. This is why, right? So I see some people doing this. It's just a little clickable map. It's on the website too. We'll send it out if you're just curious, but it's helpful to, you see the numbers, but until you see the map, right, and see the heat map, it's very, very different. So making sure everybody's perfect. So when we started getting that data, we established the problem was real. We established it with facts and security information. We reported one of the biggest changes is that Union Pacific tells us to call the numbers on the blue sign, but they don't have to report that to the federal government. They keep that within themselves. They may do something with it, I don't know. But the Federal Railroad Administration is the one who keeps that information, what our politicians actually have access to. So if we reported it to the Federal Railroad Administration, that's the one that gets movement, because that's the one our elected officials are looking at. And speaking of elected officials, I am going to pause briefly because State Rep Christina Morales has just come in, and I'll give her the floor. We're talking about trains, so. But I'm going to grab this way. All the familiar faces. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's good, it's good. And I think Marina was here.
She's here.
There she is, okay. Hi, everybody. So excited to be here. Lot of work going on, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to represent this district that I love so much. I am so grateful to Lindsay, who came all the way to Austin to advocate for more funds to come to our railroad grade separations. We planned and strategized before the hearing, and we put in a good word for the East End of Houston. We made the case that 40% of the Houston trains come through the East End. And we talked to Union Pacific, came, and we asked them some serious questions, and we wanted to make sure that they're contributing what they should be contributing. That's another story. But anyway, what can I tell you? There's so much going on. I'm grateful that I'm on the transportation committee. And because of that, our team has been really great. Hector is our chief of staff and has been working with TxDOT because we got a lot of reports about lights that were out on the freeway. So if you look at the map of our district, we go right along I-45, the most dangerous freeway in the nation. So people were calling us and asking us about some lights that were out. And thank goodness for our team and the advocacy. The city is responsible for a lot of them. We found out a law that was passed in 1963. And so a lot of them are being repaired now. And now they're being repaired from 610 and I-10 all the way to, try to remember this, all the way to like Conroe area. And it's going to be done in phases. So by next year, in September, all those lights will be replaced and have LED lights. So yay for that. So we're really happy about that. Waymos are coming to the community. They're now public use. So you'll be able to ask for one on your app, on your Uber app. So this is another thing, because we're on transportation, we get this information. And we went to, Marina and I attended a lot of civic clubs yesterday, and we're finding that they're going a little fast in the school zones and in residential neighborhoods. So we are letting them know what our concerns are as they, that people start to use their services more in the community. They're not doing freeways just yet, but it's coming. So I want everyone to be prepared. Has anybody used a Waymo before? You have? Okay.
In Austin.
Yes, in Austin, me too. And it is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You don't have to tip the driver. But, you know, it is the future, y'all. And we're gonna see more and more things like that. We even have those kind of discussions about 18-wheelers using, you know, driverless vehicles, which is a little scary, you know. But there's a lot going on in the legislature. Personally, I am working around the state to help a lot of our candidates win their races. So I've been traveling a lot around the state. Please follow our social media. You'll see the work that we've been doing. But I want to open it up for a question or two, if that's okay. If anybody has anything. Yes.
Hello, Chrissy, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
The 18-wheelers, that's not in our area yet. Do you have any idea of it? Isn't it restricted right now, like further north on 45, I think? And
Yes, there are some restrictions, but we found that it was already happening. And then many of my colleagues who witnessed it in South Texas were not happy about it. So there's more restrictions on it. But the reality is that we're going to see more and more of that. Another thing that I've seen on transportation is drones that take people from one place to another. And in Houston, this is a huge city. These are driverless air, like helicopter vehicles that are going to take people. So we're going to see more and more vehicles that don't have a driver. It's just what the future looks like. And we even had somebody bring up the discussion while we were there in the transportation hearing about how even those truck driver jobs and how we saw a lot of people lose their CDL license. Not a lot of people want those jobs because the wave of the future is to have driverless vehicles. And so those jobs are going to be obsolete.
one more quick thing. So we're there, Jetsons.
Yes.
Are we thinking far enough ahead to how we control and take care of that kind of issue when things get off the ground?
So with the Jetson mobile, it hasn't gotten that far. Right now, they're trying to figure out where they're going to be able to land and operate from. So that it's kind of still in early phases. But I just feel like once it hits, it's going to, we're going to see it. I was out in Plano over the weekend, and I literally saw drones delivering Walmart things. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. They're big, big drones. So you might not see them yet, but they're coming. And I see a question in the back.
Is the state or your committee thinking about any kind of appropriation for retraining of the workers that are going to be displaced?
Sadly, we are in a climate right now where they believe that there's not a truck driver shortage. I know very well that there is because the reports were brought to us. So we will advocate for that, and also that people who are in other countries are able to drive here. That was another thing that was brought up. So there's a lot of work to be done on that front. But thank you for caring about those folks. If we had 6,000 people who were not notified and their CDL licenses were removed. It's really outrageous because their livelihood was taken from under them, and they didn't know about the day change of this hearing. A lot of them found out late, so they didn't get to come and testify and advocate for themselves. Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia did have a hearing on this, and we had a gentleman there just in tears and telling us that he had to find another way to make money for his family because he couldn't drive himself anymore.
Last question.
So
Last question.
going back to like the Waymo discussion, these drugs that are doing deliveries, a lot of our neighbors, they rely on gig work such as Uber, DoorDash. What is the committee? What was the thoughts of the committee around that? And about the jobs that people lost because of that automation?
That's definitely something that is top of mind to many legislators. I can tell you as, we see more and more, AI taking jobs, it's the future. So we're rethinking what kind of jobs do we need to create for the future or have, so that people can make a living. Data centers is another big issue. So it's all kind of tied together. And luckily, I mean, we're in a very densely populated community, so we might not see one next door. There could be one next door actually, and we don't even know because they've existed for a while now. But the ones that are being newly built because of our governor's, making sure that they got big tax breaks. They're just big flats of concrete building that make a lot of noise. In the worst case scenarios, they use up a lot of water, and they only provide a small amount of jobs. There's a lot of jobs when they build them, but then after it's built, which is only about two years, then those jobs are gone, and then they only employ very few people. But I'll be here in the back for a little bit if you want to come and ask me your question in the back. I'm so grateful that thank you for letting me disrupt your meeting. But anyway, I'll be here in the back for a little bit. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Back to the trains, right? So one of the things that happened is a few years ago, there was a merger between Kansas City Southern, CPK, Canadian Pacific, Kansas City Southern. And the city of Chicago went to the Surface Transportation Board and said, we don't want to be another Houston, which is something that just rings in my head every single time I hear about it, right? And at the time, our Federal Railroad Administrator had come to see us a few times. At the time, that was unprecedented. That had not happened before, so that was pretty cool. And then one cool thing that we're actually doing is we're working with the City of Houston and Easton Rail Safety Task Force for a smart sensor program that's actually being watched by other cities across the nation as a pilot program. So that's kind of cool to be a part of that. So the big thing, why do the trains stop? Okay, so there's going to be some maps and there's going to be some things here, and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's going to be clear as mud, I promise. So I'm going to speak to the Easton Triangle because this is important for part of our super neighborhood on the 64th Street. So you can kind of see the way that the railroads move. We're trying to make that a little bit fuller. So the line that runs parallel to Harrisburg is the Galveston subdivision. The line that is alongside Hughes that goes underneath the Harrisburg overpass, that one is called the East Belt subdivision. The one that comes up diagonal, I say diagonal because that's how I see it in my head, right? From the University of Houston through 3rd Ward, past Midtown, that is called the West Belt subdivision. And there's other lines, but for Eastwood specifically, these lines form a triangle. And if all three lines are stopped, which it does happen, there's only one way out of that triangle, which is a problem for a number of different reasons, right? But the one thing to keep in mind is right in the center of that, right across from Bohemios, is Fire Station 18. And so that means that when all those trains are stopped, Fire Station 18 cannot access other fire districts outside of the triangle. So it's like thinking about that. For the United States, the first responder average time the response time is 5 to 6 minutes, and in the East End it's 11 to 12 minutes. And to put that into further context, your brain can only survive without oxygen for 5 to 6 minutes, right? So if there's something seriously wrong with you, this is going to be a problem. And so part of the reason that we got the West Belt Improvement Project, which we'll talk about later, is because the baby died in our area because first responders could not get to them. And we see on our train cameras, we see ambulances and we see first responders climbing through trains. We also see kids climbing through trains. We watch their parents holding babies, infants, going through trains. And it is the most heart-wrenching thing you can watch, right? So with that, you can see the different main lines here. I try to point to them, but it is very, very challenging, right? Kind of see how that goes. And so the thing to think about this is that the train lines act like roadway systems, right? So they cross each other. They act like they behave like roadways. So in this particular case, when the West Belt is ready, the Galveston sub cannot move. It has to wait for the West Belt to finish, right? So that's a big deal, right? Because that train, according to TxDOT, has 75 trains a day. Okay, so that's a lot of trains. Okay. And so when the East Belt backs up, the Galveston sub has to wait for that too. Or vice versa. If the Galveston sub is running through, then the East Belt has to wait in either direction. And that is a long time to be able to wait. right? So especially at that Tower 87, we'll talk about Tower 87 in a little bit, but that's outside of Englewood Yard, right? So, and also something I wish I used to have a map of this. Do y'all know where St. Arnold is? Y'all know where there's a whole bunch of trains, like the junction, you see all the different lines, right? Coming over I-10, getting over there. So right there specifically, that is Tower 26. And when the Heights line is moving, all of our trains have to wait for it to finish, which in the Heights line, the one that's running through the Heights, is on a no-stop order. And the line that's running through River Oaks is also on a no-stop order. So I don't know why they got a no-stop order and we don't, but our lines have to wait. So a lot of times that's why that train is parked. Because it has to wait for the line to finish or it's cleared before it can move forward, right? So these are things that impact us. So if you think about it, you'll see the different towers like in our area. And you don't have to memorize it. This is just because I'm a super quick. I like to look at this stuff, right? But it's interesting to see because you can see the distance between these towers, like Tower 86 and Tower 85, how they be spelled. You can see that distance between those things is 1.8 miles, right? So that's 9,500 feet. And this is important because Union Pacific owns the traffic rights on that line, and they build 15,000 foot trains, right? So that's pretty big. 15,000 feet is a lot bigger than 9,500, right? So you can see the difference in the different lengths. You can see how that has a difference, right? And how this works. So moving in here, so other factors that stop the train. Right now, all of the Class 1 railroads are moving to a system called precision scheduled railroading. And long story short, it's basically longer trains. Well, longer trains, less crew. And what that means for them is more profit per train. Like on paper, that makes sense. There's a lot of different things about that that are very scary. In the sense that they're also trying to reduce the crew down to one. I cannot imagine one crew person like handling that whole 15,000 foot train by themselves. They are testing 4-mile trains, and that just scares me to death. The ratio of derailments is up with the longer trains, and National Academy of Sciences has shown this. And so we're pretty concerned about those numbers, right? And also the coupling that attach the train to that hold the train together are stressed even further because they're so long. And then part of the reason that the derailments happen is because of the weight distribution on that train. And it's just the longer it is, the more likely there's that weight distribution issue, right? So that's something that is going out there. And one thing I know BNSF does on the West Belt, they've actually shortened the trains. So they fly through. That's why sometimes you'll see that West Belt line just flying through. That's what's going on. It's a shorter train. Because the shorter trains move faster, stop less, right? So people and cars on the tracks. This is important, y'all, because I understand that those signals are often messed up. You want to go around them. I get it. I hear you. But if the locomotive engineer sees somebody on the track, they have to stop. And so that's unfortunate, right? Because that means that they have to stop and they have to walk the length of the train in order to make sure everything is safe before they continue. That's a long way, y'all. Listen, I know I'm a slowpoke, but that's like almost an hour and a half of walking, like if that's a 3-mile train, right? So that's a long way. So try not to get on the tracks. I get it. I understand. You don't know how long you're going to be waiting. I get it, but like, just try not to do that. Then you've got crew timeouts. Same thing as the airline, right? If you've ever been at the airport and your crew times out, and you wait for another crew. Same thing. They have to bring in a new crew at a certain point. So sometimes that train has to stop and wait for that new crew. You see this a lot more on the Clinton line, but that's okay. I've seen it in lots of different places. It's not all of the time, but it does happen. Very rarely, but sometimes you do see an engine breakdown. If you see a train that is stopped on the line that runs over Westheimer, San Felipe, and Richmond, if that is stopped, it is it's most likely an engine breakdown, which can take unfortunately a lot longer. Sometimes they'll break apart the train. There's different things that will impact that. And then of course the safety hazards and derailments, which that makes sense if it's stopped. Something you have to do, that makes sense. And then a few common myths, and I just the other day I was correcting somebody on this. The trains, somebody has it out there that the trains cannot stop for more than 10 minutes. This is false. This is false. They own that right away. They can stay stopped as long as they become on lease. Okay. I will say that they do have a response plan across the United States that at 10 minutes they alert people to move the train, but they don't have that in Houston. I don't know why. We were called out actually in their merger applications not having that same logic. I don't get it. And first responders are notified at 30 minutes. I don't know why. I feel like that should be the first one to be responded to read the no. And then another thing that we also hear all the time is that the city can cite the railroads for blocking roads, and that is just not true. It's just not true because that is like their right of way. They can do this. The cities cannot take care of that. They cannot cite for the one. They cannot cite for stopping. It's unfortunate. So basically, the reason why is it violates the Interstate Commerce Act of y'all. Listen, 1896. talk about precedent, right? So the Federal Railroad Administration is the governing body of the railroads. And they used to have a little bit more teeth when it comes to the block crossings. However, now after the George Bush administration, they did change that. They are now a self-reporting system. And how many of you, show of hands, do you send HR full email letting them know everything you've done wrong? Nobody does. Nobody does. I don't think the railroads do not have to report their stop crossing. So they don't have to. They can, but they don't have to. Because they are a self-reporting system. And so this is the thing that we talked a little bit about. They'll come in and tell the number on the blue sign. Now you can, if the signal, like the arms are down, like the train is not coming, which happens all the time in the extent. But that number, that report does, like, it goes to Union Pacific, and again, they may make operational changes and do their work on that. I don't know. I've been hung up on more often than not, or left a voicemail, and I don't know what happens to that. But you can go to the Federal Railroad Block Crossing portal, pull it up on your phone, take 2 seconds, you report your impact, and you are done. And that gives our elected officials the ability to see where the problems are and actually help mitigation. So I have a link to the FRA Block Crossing portal that you can just scan. We'll also send it out so you can take a look at that. Just keep it on hand. We keep it bookmarked on our home screen, so you can just click it and just go. But you know, while you're driving, please don't do this while you're driving. You can report up to 7 days back. So please get to your location safely. Don't be doing this while you're driving, right? But it does help with the federal record with applications and the merger filings and some of these things that we are up against. So next question I always get, the quiet zone. Everybody wants that quiet zone, right? So first of all, what is a quiet zone? So the one thing to know is that it is a section of rail line that is at least 1/2 mile long, usually up to 2 miles, of one or more consecutive public highway railroad crossings. Locomotive horns are routinely sounded on approach, but they are quieted and don't sound, right? So the next question is, well, how do we get that, right? But the thing to remember is that quiet zone doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be silent all of the time. So certain things to think about, if there's a car or a person on the track, they're going to sound the horn, right? If they are approaching a yard that needs to alert the staff that it is coming, that's how they do it. There's actually a pattern that they if you live near a yard, you know the pattern, right? The crossing arms are up or down and not functioning, or if there's an emergency, they will sound that horn. As an example, in Edo, right there at Commerce Street, there is a no horn. No, like there's a quiet zone right there at Commerce Street, or yes, right there at Commerce and Reynolds. And during the Fan Fest, Union Pacific say, hey, listen, we might have increased foot traffic, so we're going to sound the horn. It's like, well, yeah, sorry, that makes sense, right? So in other words, it's not a fully perfect quiet zone. It's just quieter, right? And so to get this completed, this is the part that everybody is blown away by, is that so we would go to our council member and say, we want a quiet zone on these specific crossings. Council would have to go over, they would have to evaluate the number of crossings that there are, and they would have to request for council action to get a budget on that. And each intersection has a cost of roughly $300,000 to $1 million, depending on the infrastructure required at that crossing. You know, I'm getting a lot of looks like, whoa, because they have to change the signals and the arms so that a car cannot bypass them. And so if you have a really large street like Lockwood, it's going to require 5 gates. It's going to be $1 million, right? Not every street is $1 million. That does require that. It requires infrastructure so that you prevent cars from going around the trains. Anything to prevent people from going around the arms is important, because that's why they blow the horn, right? So you have to make sure they're around that. So they have to go and design that. Then they have to get the funds to build and do the construction work on that. Then they have to get all of the plans, everything approved by the railroad, the FRA, the city. The city completes all of the non-railroad infrastructure improvements. I say Union Pacific because they have 95% of the traffic rights, but it's whoever owns that specific crossing. They're notified for railroad infrastructure improvements. They'll take care of what they need to take care of in terms of signaling. Sometimes they make the city pay for it, sometimes not. The FRA comes in, inspects it, signs it off, and then if everything is approved, it will put that no horn sign there. So on a fast track, this takes 2 to 5 years. Anybody know how long the East End's been waiting for one of theirs? The request went in 2000. That is the line that goes from the Galveston subdivision, from Commerce Yard behind Midtown, behind Edo to Mason Park is supposed to get a quiet zone. The last thing that's remaining, from what I understand, is the funding to get the sidewalks addressed. So hopefully this actually is moving. Everybody's trying to get this done, but it does take a long time. And as a side note comparison, I'd love to look at the disparity. The Washington corridor got theirs in 2 years. I don't know. I'll take a guess. So these are the different quiet zones that are proposed. East End 3, which is the Galveston subdivision we just talked about. The West Belt right now is not even budgeted. And part of that is because of the West Belt Improvement Project. It is supposed to create a sealed corridor, which will allow for those streams to be quieted. The East Belt has a lot of the thanks to Councilmember Gallegos for many years of working on this. The East End, most of the crossings on the East Belt are quieted, but there's still a few more that I think would be smart to tackle that. Those right away. A few things that I always hear at Eastwood is a lot of people want to plant trees along the railroad line. Don't do it. Listen, I get it. I would love to just have a whole lot of beautiful trees. It would be wonderful for the sound. It looks beautiful. It's great for the environment, but unfortunately that is their right of way. And they can come over and they can just mow it over. And they may not do it to be neat. They're probably just doing it because they're trying to be safe, right? And they have to keep that in mind. So, and of course, I don't think anybody here is doing this, but please don't dump garbage or dump things in the railroad right away. Things like that. So you don't want to plant gardens. You don't want to plant trees, things like that as much as you want to. That is their right of way. And it actually is a federal offense to trespass on the right of way. I don't know if y'all knew that, but that's the thing. So if you find illegal dumping, you can report to 311. There is a link to report directly to Union Pacific. You can create a record on the website. And of course, if you have any problems getting a response, I have no problem contacting them to escalate. So a few things is that we have a lot of projects that are in the works, and we have been working so hard. Y'all don't understand how hard I work on this. So the West Belt Improvement Project was one of the first things that we were able to get. This is an old study that the Gulf Coast Rail District had on hand. Again, former Councilmember Gallegos was the one who kind of helped push this along. It had gotten a lot of the funding, but we used bipartisan infrastructure law dollars to get the funding that closed. That is in design right now. So what it is going to include is taking York Street, turning it two-way. Everybody's gonna look at me like, whoa, Sampson and York are planning to do two-way. Then they're gonna have an underpass underneath the two railroad lines, and then they'll be able to get back to Harrisburg. And it also includes an update at Commerce Street at Navigation. So it's supposed to be technically 3 grade separations in that specific project. The one thing right now is, as it is designed, this is not final, but as it is designed, that means closing McKinney at the West Belt and closing Milby at the West Belt. Now, there's lots of different things going on. There's still conversations being had. I'm pretty confident that Milby might stay open. McKinney, just the way that the trench has to be dug, I'm pretty confident that is going to stay. That's going to float. But there is an opportunity to, at a later point, do a bike pedestrian crossing there. So, other projects that we are tracking. We were able to get an East End $2 million grant with the Harris County Precinct 2. This is on the East End Triangle. They're going to do a feasibility study on all the crossings. Blockwood Clear, who just helped Precinct 2 submit a grant at Blockwood specifically. We were hoping that SB 1555 would go towards that. Unfortunately, did not get that. We are tracking Green Cloud Long. This is not in the East End. It's a little bit in South Union. Their section is wild. I don't know if y'all have ever been there, but it is wild.
Oh, yeah.
And they definitely it needs something, right? Plus, there's also the Texas 35 project that's coming in, and there's a whole lot of things going on with that. The Milby High School pedestrian bridge, after the unfortunate death of Sergio Rodriguez, they are doing the groundbreaking on September 1st on that bridge over the railroad track. And then we just heard of another grant that came through. It's unfortunately on the line that goes behind the roads. I'm trying to figure out where that is. The crossings themselves have not been announced, so hopefully we're getting detail on that. And then we're looking for State Bill 1555 to continue to be funded. Even though we were the neighborhood that started that, because of the death of Sergio Rodriguez, on top of all of the work we were doing, the East End unfortunately did not get any dollars from SB 1555. And this keeps me up. Okay. So then also there's going to be potentially increases to the railroad crossing elimination grants, increase in Creasy grants, and then Troy Hill introduced a Rail Safety Act thing. So with that, I'm going to try to walk through this very quickly because it is pretty difficult. The Union Pacific Norfolk Southern merger is the one that is proposed right now. And so what they said is that it is one network coast to coast. They are taking the majority of their main lines and condensing them down to roughly 6 lines. What they don't tell you is that Houston is going to be the hub of two of those, which is frightening for a lot of different reasons. It is a junction for not only freight trains, but it's also a junction for intermodal traffic. So they're going to increase the number of trucks coming in. And then the board is going to be, they're going to decide the conditions of that, which is why Lindsay has been running around screaming. We need, hey, you're going to bring in more trains. We need help, right? So Houston is at the center of this. And this is something that I have pushed on and pushed on and pushed on. So 58.7 trains per day at Tower 87. That is like right now, that is the supposed base of that. They're looking to bring 36% more trains at Tower 87. And if y'all remember the lattice work, right? Remember when one stopped, all of the other ones are impacted. And this is the part that's really challenging, is that they do not have any plans right now to study the impacts on these lines, right? So if there is one line coming in that's going to get more, they're not studying the impact of the ripple effect. So they're also looking at having 200% increase in trucks to Settegas Yard, and that includes eminent domain. So they're going to potentially take out a road, and they're going to build out and expand Settegas Yard in order to increase the number of trucks that are coming in and out of Settegas Yard. So there's that, and they're also going to have more in Englewood, but it's not quite as big as Settegas. And so one of the things that they also said in their application is that they are expected to see an increase in block crossings, which is very unfortunate. So right now, you don't have to memorize these names, okay? So our super neighborhood's been on top of it. We are tracking it. I don't know anybody else who has been tracking it quite to the extent we have. But the one thing that is the one deadline that is coming up for our elected officials, and I have already sent them draft of what I think is great, is an environmental impact study, because the Surface Transportation Board said, okay, block crossings are going to be a part of the environmental impact study. So that's where we can go to our elected officials and say, hey, Senator Alvarado, please, you need to make sure that we get a chance to look at these. You need to help see what the scope is. You know, Rep Morales, we need to set the scope. Our elected officials have all been notified, and I've already reached out to all of them. I'm in contact with all of them to help set what that scope should be. And kind of something that Rep Morales talked about in addition to that is that right now, Union Pacific only gave us matched 1% of the Westfield Improvement Project, but we know in Chicago they matched 20%. So these things are things that, like, we have the most crossings, we have the most problems, we need the most mitigation, right? So the one thing that I have also been asking is that every single application that they have filed so far, the numbers have changed. And they're purposely trying to go underneath the environmental impact threshold and recategorizing the increases of those trains, which I think is really strange. But they don't reconcile why they changed it. Did they make a mistake in the calculation? Because that happens. Like, listen, I'm perfect. These things happen. So thinking about that, but you can see that they're adding 5 trains per day, but because Houston is in an ozone attainment area, not attainment area, we have a lower threshold for those environmental impact studies. All of their places that they wanted to do an EIS is in rural areas, not in the urban core. So you can see a little bit about that here. I'll pass this out. You don't have to move on. So right now they're looking at the 20% increase at Englewood Yard. There are no yard requirements. They're not looking to expand into that space. Englewood is 5,000 feet. They build 15,000 foot trains. So where does that 10,000 feet go? It goes right there in our neighborhoods, right? So this is pretty significant, right? You want to, and they're looking at adding so many more cars. Like right now they've got 400 trucks are going to add more on top of that. And that's just so many with neighborhoods that are already burdened by the number of trucks. And this is not like Lindsay making it up. These are like from their application and their worksheets and their data. So thinking about that, this is some of the things that we're thinking about. You can see all the different numbers about it. So some of the things that I'm looking at and that like Lindsay as part of the neighborhood is asking about is at an April 2025 state legislative hearing, Union Pacific told our state ledge that the average train length in Texas was 7,500 feet. And I want them to hold to that. They say that's what it is. I think that we should hold them to that. We know that based on their shareholder calls that it's closer to 10,000 feet on average throughout the country. We want them to keep it 7,500. That also keeps them within the majority of our junctions, right? So keep between the towers. We want them to study the urban core. We want them to actually reconcile their data and show us what the real baseline is. We want them to prohibit. We want them to stop building trains in the neighborhoods. Y'all, especially Denver Harbor, y'all see this a lot where they go back and forth. They go back and forth. They do brake checking. All of that is like we don't think that shouldn't be in the neighborhoods. We see it right outside my house every Thursday and Sunday, right? So that's what happens. We want them to reconcile all their data. Why did the data change? Like, is it a mistake? Is it real? What's going on? Why did it change? And then making mitigation enforceable, right? So the Surface Transportation Board has the ability to say, hey, listen, if you're gonna make this happen, this is what we want. Like, this is how this works. And that's what happened with the CPKC merger. As an example, City of Chicago asked the Surface Transportation Board to match for $10 billion in projects. They got 400 million. Now, I mean, we're not gonna get $10 billion, right? But can you imagine if the City of Houston was able to get $400 million to do studies, to do designs, to do mitigation on these types of crossings, because the city has at least 55 different crossings. That's not including the county, that's not including Gulf Coast Regional District, that's not including the other counties in the area, right? It's just a lot going on. So the board has done it before. This is not, none of this, anything I'm asking here, none of this is unprecedented. I'm not asking for anything that's out of lines here. If you want to participate in the merger, you can. You can file a notice of intent to participate by the end of next week. I will warn you, you will get flooded with a lot of emails. If you like that, you can do it. Otherwise, you can just submit a comment. I'm also collecting statements. If you just want to write down your story, I will gladly take that information. And then September 21st is when our elected officials need to set what they believe the scope would be for the environmental impact study. And then all of our comments need to be in by November 18th. So I'm on a mission, right, to just gather feedback from the community. So what can you do, right? Report every block crossing you come across. Like, that's the biggest thing you can do because it helps show that we are continuing to be the problem. And I get it, because listen, I don't even block every single one, but if you can report one block per month, that's help. That's enough. That's all you gotta do. You don't have to be neurotic like me and try to get as many as possible, right? Even I don't get them all, right? If you get one per month, that would be fantastic. You can file with the Surface Transportation Board. And this includes filling out my form, right? Because I will include this in one big file, right? You can take care of that. You can help on the environmental consultation materials, and you can tell your own story at any time. You can contact your council members, you can contact your state reps, let them know what you think of all of these different things. Some of the things that we've been really asking for is a comprehensive road and rail plan, because the road and rail systems are, I mean, they're here. I mean, they're here to stay. And I mean, even I know that, right? But we have to work together. And then of course, there's different maps I built. This is actually a merger map that I created. If you want to see it, I tried to build the impact, the ripple effect of the merger. So you can click through and see the lines, and it'll tell you the different lines that are going to see increases, what they already see now, how many cars are coming through, what the crash data is. And you can kind of play around with it if you want, just to see what that is, and it gives you a guidance toward how the trains like work together in that infrastructure. So this will go out, but you just want to play around with it. It's a lot of fun. Any questions? Because I hit y'all with like a lot. Okay, I got one.
You mentioned that there's not a plan for the area, for the Easton specifically, that other areas of the city have comprehensive road and rail plans. Who is that? Who does that at each of? Is that super neighborhoods? Is that civic clubs? Like, what does that look like?
I could own that. Life would be very different. I think right now the city is asking the Gulf Coast Rail District to own a lot of that. And thankfully, we are on the Houston Area Rail Transformative to try to help with some of that conversation. They are also, one of the big things that we have seen is that the city metro has tried to put grade separations in only based on car count. And that doesn't really tell the full story, right? Because we have people here, I think the one side of our super neighborhood, 30% of residents are car scarce, right? So you're not gonna see them in cars, but maybe you'll see a lot more people. Maybe it's proximity to schools, right? And weighing these things differently. And that's how the Gulf Coast Rail District is starting to approach it. But it seems to be a little bit more piecemeal. Like Chicago goes like on entire corridors. And so they'll develop 15 different projects all at once, and they'll go and develop all 15 at one go because they look at the corridor. The city of Houston right now still just looks at like one crossing at a time. And part of it is just because it's daunting. It's a lot. And it's also a paradigm shift, right? Because it's a big change. But I know that the Gulf Coast Rail District is moving that direction.
So Moby's closing north of Fulton.
That's the plan. It's not final yet, but that is the current plan, yes.
So because they can't fix it, because there's 5 tracks right there, or there's 3 and then 2 on the other. Since they can't fix it, then it's gonna shut it down.
It actually has less to do with fixing that specifically and more about creating a sealed corridor. They want to create a place to park trains between Leland and Commerce. And if there's an underpass right there at York, and all the lines on the roads closed next to it, then we're gonna see it more.
Well, I think that's what you pointed out too, but they need to have, on your argument.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But that was already like 190 million. So you gotta be, I got one minute.
So with the notice of intent to participate, what exactly does that require of us? What will we need to?
You will, I can call them separately, but you do need to file on it because the docket it's a legal document. So you have to make sure you drop in your information, you have to email the parties of record, and you have to include your certificate of service, then you have to file it on the Surface Transportation Board. It's a lot of steps. It's not hard, it's just a lot of steps. And if you mess up, they'll pull your stuff.
Lindsay, could you talk a little bit about, more clarification on how they're not, submitting any studies to the NTSB, with regard to the congestion in our immediate area with regard to being, qualifying, getting qualification for this merger?
The way that their numbers are presented, they're arguing that they don't need to study that. That's not in the study. And they've selected their corridors and they've selected their crossings that they need to study. But it's not just Houston, but like a lot of other people are coming back and saying, no, you need to study these areas. And that's just because that's what their recommendation is in their application. It's a document, right? So they put in their side and the other side puts in their side and the Surface Transportation Board weighs in.
So they are getting called out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted.
All right, so I have been moving a lot on this. I'm gonna hang out at the end, trust me, I can talk training for hours and hours and hours. But I'm not gonna make y'all listen to more of that. We're gonna move into some fun updates if y'all want. We have some transportation and infrastructure updates, a public safety committee update, HIC, and then we're gonna talk through some meetings that were attended. So first and foremost, Amy Den about Wayside, Walmart and Wayside.
I'll speak that. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Amy Den. I'm an Idlewood resident and just Lindsay wanted me to provide an update on Wayside. So if you've been down Wayside in the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, you may have seen some new stuff. Anybody notice what's on Wayside now? An Idlewood resident. That's crazy. So we now have a pedestrian crossing on Wayside. This is wonderful news for those that drive Wayside on a regular basis. It's something that when TxDOT did its last renovation of Wayside, you may remember we had some dividers on the street and then it was all taken away. Basically, all the protections that they had put in the last time they redid Wayside and we complained, they just took them out. So when they rebuilt the freeway with our Alt 90 to put in the new drainage and make the street nicer, which it is, they just took out those pedestrian protections over there. So we worked with, I don't know if she's still here. I was gonna give her a shout out. Representative Morales' office, she was very key in helping us do this. Senator Alvarado's office is very key. We have some, Robert Gallegos was also really involved in some of these conversations. And so this took a lot of cajoling with both Metro and TxDOT to make this happen. Because Metro's bus goes right there. I don't know if y'all, am I talking to people that know about South Wayside? Okay, I'm just telling you how much information to give y'all. But the good news is we have this pedestrian signage that's now there. It should make things safer. Hopefully the pedestrians using the Metro bus in the middle of Wayside right in front of the Walmart will use it and protect themselves when they're crossing. We can hope that. So that's good. The good news. Yeah, community engagement works.
And we were also, when we were talking with Walmart and TxDOT, we were also hoping that Walmart would do a pedestrian walkway on their property, like the Walmart on Yale Street. So they said they would look at that, but they never followed up. So I know that's another thing we target.
Well, now
Yeah, I mean, now that we can follow up, I mean, this is a good step. Oh, and I see Metro is here. So thank you, Metro, for your help in getting TxDOT to do this, because it was a little bit of this for a while. So, yes, I think we should continue. If there's still, maybe we could see how things are progressing with the new, it's only been out for 3 weeks, so hopefully.
I think if Walmart would put a pedestrian walkway on their property, that would only encourage people to use the walkway across Wayside, and then it'll connect to their pedestrian walkway into their property.
It makes sense. Maybe we could take some pictures and then explain once, now that we have the pedestrian crossing there, where it would make sense to make those connections.
Real quick.
Yes.
Where exactly is the pedestrian crossing?
Okay, so if you know where the Metro bus pulls in, okay, so if people don't know, off 45, there's a giant Walmart. Right in front of this there's a Metro bus stop right at the Walmart. There's like a little pull in for the bus. The new signage is like immediately in front of the bus pull in, basically. It's right in that area. So it's right in the middle of the street. And there's some signage that says pedestrian crossing, stop for pedestrians, and supposedly some kind of way that I guess they can signal that they're crossing.
They still have to put flashes.
Yeah, but they have to
haven't done that.
push the button to show that they're crossing.
Okay, so there is signage or there's light visibility for the.
Currently, it's just signage. Yeah,
It's just signage.
and something on the street.
Yeah.
It's not like a hawk light.
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
Supposed to.
Yeah, we're getting there. This is just the very beginning, but there's some additional improvements I think supposed to be coming too.
Yeah.
So we're not completely done, but the good news is it started. So this is progress, people. This has been like a 2-year fight, Metro and TxDOT to make this happen. So it's coming.
Perfect, thank you. All right, and then we've got Lisa who's here. Pretty cool update. I'm pretty excited to see.
Thanks, Lindsay. We also have good news. I want to thank those of you who came out when the Harrisburg TERS was here with their plans for updates around Telephone Road. They listened to us and we were able to have a follow-on meeting with them. We've gotten them to create an additional crosswalk on Telephone between Eddington and Bohemio Shopping Center with a requested button for rapid flashing signs when people want to cross. These are called rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which flash upon request. It doesn't stop the traffic, but it lets the drivers know that people are crossing. So that's an added safety feature. We also made an argument with them coming out of our meetings for pedestrian refuges. I love that word. Pedestrian refuges is when you cross multiple lanes of traffic. It's a place for you to rest in between the lanes. So 3 lanes you cross, you stand, you wait for the other 2. So we've gotten them to look at those to accommodate them where possible. We also were really disturbed with the lack of provision for canopy trees. You may remember that what they were suggesting were just little hollies along the way that would provide shade for us. We've gotten them to go back and look at where they can put in shade trees. And then a major new accommodation that they are willing to consider are shade structures like they put in along Texas Avenue. So it would be like public art where trees would not be sustainable. We were hoping that we would be able to get raised crosswalks in a few key locations, but that was a no-go. And they did agree to re-examine Telephone and Broadmoor to maximize safety and to make sure there was no conflicting turn lanes there. So I think that by inviting the TERS out and our level of engagement, we really have had an influence on improving that design. And I think we also made an impact on the mayor's office as they were looking at some of these accommodations were beyond his traffic plans, his policies that he had established. The other good news piece that came out of those meetings was that the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority is now under contract to purchase a several acre plot southwest of Eastwood Park to expand the park footprint. And that will improve access to Eastwood Park. That was a direct result of one of us suggesting that to the TERS. So I want to recognize Lindsay and Clay Dipple and Ian Lavacek for the work that they've done on this committee to help organize and suggest these changes. Also, the Milby Precinct 2 has been working on the Milby Street overlay. And we were invited to give feedback. We suggested a shared bike pedestrian path, more shade trees than they were originally accommodating, parking to be addressed along Milby, and drainage was a principal area that was of concern for our second ward neighbors there. So I think that the work and the attention that we're giving to these transportation and infrastructure issues, working with the existing departments and TERS and management districts, is paying off. So thank you for coming and giving your input.
Continuing on the transportation infrastructure conversation, it's been about almost a year. October, it'll be a year since the memorandum of understanding was signed by Houston First, our council member Martinez, as well as Public Works. A couple weeks ago, we took 7 speakers to council to ask for accountability to those things. A lot of those things still haven't happened. Those include communication about the street closures in both English and Spanish, about pedestrian access, as well as what's going on with the two-way Leland we were promised, and then the connectivity study. And then the last thing that we asked for was for that community advisory board that's a part of the MOU to be formed now and start meeting now. That way we can continue to have a voice in things before these major decisions happen. And that can continue to improve our mobility around town. So I'd encourage everyone to keep talking to your neighbors about this, talk to your community leaders and electeds. I think that continued pressure from the community is going to make help hold them accountable. And I will make a quick announcement about the food. Trust Robles donated the produce. We prepared food. There's soup. There's dessert. Please help yourself to some. There's also extra produce by the door if you'd like to take some home. And in the cooler, even they donated some milk. It's like a non-homogenized, really healthy, cows, happy cows. So please help yourself and take some of that home because they donated more than we could cook and what they wanted to share with the community. Thank you.
Okay.
Say all of this. I'm just sharing that I have been trying to collect all of the road closures, all the mill and overlays, and trying to gather as much information as possible. I'll put it in the newsletter. If you want to take a picture real quick, this is what I got. The only ones I'm waiting on are City of Houston timelines. The Metro has theirs online. I've been able to find the NHHIP stuff. So this is just what I was able to find. I'm trying to be as exhaustive as possible. It is very challenging to dig all of these around, but if you want to take a picture of it, that's awesome, and we'll put it in the newsletter so you don't have to memorize it. But just trying to do the best I can because we have so much happening. If I can try to help a little bit, I will. So we're gonna let Robert Gallegos give a quick update on the Public Safety Committee, and I'm gonna walk around with the forms that we were talking about with the merger. If you want to sign your name to it, tell your story, that's great. But otherwise, Robert is gonna speak to this, and I'll walk around with these if you wanna sign this.
Good evening. Yesterday I was asked by Lindsay if anyone was able to attend to represent the neighborhood at the Public Safety Committee, which I did go to, and I was also there representing my civic club. I'm president of Houston Country Club Place. And basically, there was quite a few people in the audience, and we were excited this is going to be the first quarterly report by HPD in regards to their participation with ICE. But then it ended up basically turning into a dog and pony show where the representative of HPD was a civilian employee for HPD. And he was there, and I kid you not, within less than 3 minutes, he gave the stats Then it was opened up for city council to ask questions. And the city attorney representative was telling the HPD representative to not answer questions that were being asked by city council. Which I felt that was very insulting, due to the fact that, as you know, Lorenzo was shot here in the East End by ICE, just blocks from here. And many of you, of course, we're East Enders. If you go to restaurants here in the East End, you'll notice they're not as full as they used to be. You go to Don Carlos in the evening, there's hardly anybody there. You go to Hardino in Harrisburg, there's hardly anybody there. It's because people are just scared to go out. They're scared to go out, not just because of ICE. They're scared to go out because now they know HPD is working with ICE. So they get stopped by on a traffic stop or any minor infraction in regards to city ordinance. ICE can follow them. And what was very frustrating is that we have 16 council members, and the only one that was actually really drilling the representative for HPD and questioning the attorney, saying that he didn't have to answer those questions, was Councilmember Salinas. So I want to thank Councilmember Salinas, who is a new council member. She's been there just for a few months, but yet she spoke up and she demanded, in regards to the administration, she demanded wanting to know where the chief of police is there. And I'm a former council member. I was on city council for 10 years. You have the mayor, who of course hires the chief, and then you have council. So that's who the chief reports to. It's the mayor and city council. So why are the other city council members not speaking up? They're the brass to the police chief, but yet it was Salinas that was demanding, where is the chief? So that's the update. Please call your council members, ask them to demand that the chief attend a public safety meeting to give the updates, to know how HPD is now participating with ICE, because that's very important for our community to know. Thank you.
I actually put the quarterly integration report slides on here and then what's going to happen. So we'll get that out to y'all. So that was my bad. HISD, this is going to be pretty quick. HISD, as y'all know, closed a lot of properties in the East End and North Denver Harbor area. A lot of those properties are going up for sale. And it's unfortunate because we want to try to keep those properties within the community as best as possible. So I know Port Houston is taking a look at this, and I know Harris County is taking a look at ways to keep these properties within the community, turn them into early childhood development center, workforce training, lots of different things. I think the big fear is, there's a lot of space that could potentially go to the highest bidder and turn into just big box apartments or townhome developments. It's just going to not be good for the East End. So you're in the Spark Parks right now, from what I understand, is that the Spark Parks, if there is a Spark Park, which is a number of the schools, that 3C2 is going to start maintaining those after August 31st. So at least they'll be mowed and accessible and open for the kids, at least for now. But that's just like the interim solution. That's what I know. And unfortunately, that's as much as I can get right now. So what can you do? Attend a board meeting, share your feedback, email your elected officials to advocate for keeping these properties within the county or the port, just so that we can work all together. I'm not going to read every single one of y'all, but we're talking about how many meetings we attend and how many places we go to advocate for residents, and based off of all the feedback that we get. It's not just the Lindsay show, right? So it's all of us working together. We listen to the feedback you give us. We advocate based off of that feedback. Because I don't have kids, so like hearing HISD stuff, it was not on my radar, right? But then somebody brought it to my attention, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it's things like that. We hear that feedback when we bring it in. So we listen to, we went to OEM about some of the safety stuff on the Full Street underpass. We went to the Gulf Coast, I always go to the Gulf Coast Rail District. We participated in the Eastern Rail Safety Task Force, HISD board meeting. Christina Morales said that, she talked about it. I went to the House Transportation Committee hearing last week and waited 6 hours to speak, but I did it. And then also we went to a public session where I spoke about the right to AC ordinance, which this super neighborhood supported. And then Lisa Robert Gallegos among friends of the super neighborhood advocating for the execution of the Full Street neighborhood. So we're busy. We keep going, y'all. So with that, a couple of announcements. I don't know why my pictures are not showing. I had a little picture here, and it's real cute. Councilmember Martinez is doing a back to school giveaway this Saturday, August 9th at Smith Park. We've got flyers in the back. There was supposed to be a picture of a flyer, but as always, Lindsay has some technical issues. So that is this weekend, and then I just dropped in a few meetings that are coming in for the remainder of the week. On September 1st, I put out a newsletter where I try to grab all of the meetings across the area, drop them into one nice beautiful list. Also to help me stay organized. It's not just for everybody else, it's also to keep me organized. And then, so with that, I'm gonna open up the floor, and I know we have one candidate for office that came in. I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. We got that, and then I know we've got a TCP up there. So you can come up and say hello. And I'm sorry, I talked very, very fast. I'll stick around at the end. I'll stay at the end and answer questions.
Wait 6 hours.
Hi, my name is Caroline Dozier, and I'm the judge at the 228th District Court. I am also running this term, so I'm hoping you will consider voting for me. Just so you know a little bit about me, so that if you choose to vote for me, you know who you're voting for. I was raised in El Paso, Texas. I did move here after I graduated from high school in 1985. So I've been in Houston for 41 years, which almost qualifies me for being a native Houstonian. As close as I can get, I think. I went to the University of Texas School of Law. When I graduated, I went to the district attorney's office. I was there for 31 years. And now I've been on the bench for about a little over 18 months. So I've been the judge there for about the last 18 months. So I've got almost 33 years in criminal law. So I do know what I'm doing. On a personal note, I am married to Julian Ramirez. We have one son. He is an Eagle Scout. That is probably one of my most proud accomplishments in this last year. For fun, I'm not sure if it's fun, but I participate in my board and my HOA on the board. And I also walk dogs at the SPCA on the weekends, which is very hot, but that's the only time that they ever get out of their kennels. So anyway, I'm here if you want to ask me any questions, but I just wanted to introduce myself to you because I know the ballot is very long. And there are a lot of people, I don't know on the ballot. So I know and I work down at the courthouse. So I just wanted to come out here and introduce myself to you so you know who I am, and I hope you'll vote for me. And I appreciate your time. And Lindsay, are you available to be hired? You're like the dynamo. I don't actually have any money, so I can't hire her, but I would love to. Thank you. And the soup, if you don't eat the soup, you're gonna be sorry. It is fire. I'm not gonna try anything else, but that soup is fire.
Yes, I know Amy didn't really say it. I think it's her called this Robles basically gave her a box of random vegetables. And she like top chefed it. And was like, all right, we're gonna figure this out and use those vegetables between her and Lisa Hunt. They prepared y'all's refreshments. And please make sure you get something to eat. Make sure you get a snack. There's a TCEQ update with the Valero permit, I think, coming in.
October 1st is the public meeting for the Valero permit.
We got time. And then our September meeting is going to be a big voter event. It's going to be a joint super neighborhood event. We're going to bring everybody out. We're going to try to bring candidate information, non-biased if possible. That's the super neighborhood goal. Education, answer questions, make sure you're registered. If you know somebody who isn't sure, we can help check that status. We're going to go with the voter machines. It's going to be great. So be sure to come out. Is there any other announcements that I got, Lisa?
Victor Salgado, Lorenzo's brother, who is a witness to the shooting, still being held by ICE in detention. On Friday morning at 9 o'clock at the site of his memorial, there will be a prayer vigil, prayer circle for him and for his attorney. 9 o'clock on Canal Street. If you have questions, ask me.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other announcements from the floor? I said one that can't get and move in the library and the airline.
Howdy, y'all. My name's Chuck. I am a Democratic Party precinct chair out of Baytown, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Leticia Gutierrez for Congressional District 9. This campaign needs your help. We have got a lot of doors to knock. We've got a lot of phone calls to make. We've got to win this district, and we need your help. Please see me afterwards. I'm a pretty recognizable tall white dude with a ponytail. So Chuck Cruz for Leticia Gutierrez, CD 9. Thank you.
Significantly. Used to be 29, now it's halfway between 18 and 9, so we'll make sure to help clarify those new boundaries. Okay, library.
Hey y'all, I'm Janice Silva, I'm the manager at Standard Grove Neighborhood Library. I speak to familiar faces. So just a quick update, SRP has ended, prices are ended. So all that is wrapped up, so we're getting back to our regular programming. With that being said, we will have Famous Place Playtime. It is a child-led program for babies and toddlers beginning September 14th and it runs through October 12th. It'll be every Monday at 1 p.m. So anyone with small children, you're welcome to join the program. It is, of course, like all the programs, free, and we'll have resource professionals there for different topics that you can ask questions. So if you have any questions about your children's like development milestones or like nutrition, you can come in and ask them. For our younger kids, we will be starting a Lego club on Thursdays at 4:30. So it's a pretty popular program with we haven't had in a very long time. And then we will also be starting a baby story time in September on Fridays at 1:30. And then a film discussion club for our adults. And then I can't remember what the last thing I was gonna say. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, and then we're looking to have a fall fiesta in October for our families and kids and a senior social hour in November. So I'll be bringing that information, but if any of you are interested in that, have any ideas or you want to help, participate or just anything, just let me know.
Thank you, Janice. My name is Ira Thompson, the manager of the Flores Neighborhood Library. I always like to remind y'all we don't have two really amazing libraries in this area. You have the Stanford Library on Canal Magdalena Garcia, and then you have the Flores Library on Canal Novi. So please do take advantage and go to both. We do have different late nights. We did that on purpose so you can take advantage and come to the library whenever it best suits you. And I did just want to, adding on to what Jen said, I just want to invite y'all to our Hispanic Heritage Festival that we're having at Flores. It's going to be on Saturday, September 19th from 2 to 4. We're going to have an Aztec group do a performance, ballet folklorico, a zine workshop. There will be different crafts, community resources. The focus of this festival is on teens, although everybody is invited. It's going to be family friendly. It's going to be stuff for the kids, stuff for the adults. But there will be a lot of teen resources as well as Harrison County coming out with like a voting booth so the teens can see what it is to vote and be less intimidated by how does the wheel work. You go in on that little booth and it's a little scary, so they get to practice that in person, which is especially important, with everything right now, getting our teens out to vote. So that is on Saturday, September 19th. Please invite the teen or family or come down here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Spike. I am with Air Alliance Houston. We are an environmental, climate and air pollution focused not-for-profit. I want to let y'all know that tomorrow evening at 6:30 at Robles, we'll have a public information session on how to file, win, organize, and participate in contested case hearings, which is sort of the how you continue to challenge bad faith air pollution actors in the neighborhood. East End has a whole lot of them, and we're working the best we possibly can to keep them acting in good faith and to participate justly with the community. So thank you so much, all.
Perfect. So, at this meeting, y'all like it good?
Yeah.
I normally just watch it. Next meeting is on usually I get a little help on that. So our next meeting is on September 23rd. Not yet, 23rd, and so that's going to be our big voter event. You're going to see all the info coming out, and we hope that you love this meeting so much that you have. Oh, I know that's my name. Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. I always get this slide wrong. It's like a running joke. But so we invite you to come back out for our voter event, learning information, practice sample ballots, all of that. We're going to help you. We're going to help you work through all of those challenges and everything, get you all ready to go for voting. And we are excited to hear from you again. And we're going to adjourn for now. So have a good evening. Thank you.